you are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh, and know they love you.
The first thing that I did when I came out of college was I went to work for the Houston Post as a reporter. And the reason that I did that was because I felt that that was my mission in life. I was not naive enough to think that I was going to save the world, but I felt that there were a lot of conditions that I would like to write.
What year was this now?
That was 1957.
What year I was born.
Yeah, so this was a time when segregation was at its height in Texas. This was something that I felt personally had robbed me of opportunities to get to know a large segment of the population. Mm-hmm. And I had enough experience meeting black people in my life to feel that they deserve a special place in American society, and not in a black ghetto, but a place of honor and respect, because being persecuted, being reviled, being discriminated against, they yet retained a rare humanity that I don't believe you can find in any other group, race, religion, or ethnic group that has been subjected to all the abuses that they have been subjected to.
So when you came out of school, you had a feeling inside of you?
Yes, I had a feeling. I had a feeling from the time that I was less than 3 years old. And that was an experience when my father took a horse to be trained. We were living in an area where it was a mile to the nearest neighbor. This was a county where there was a sign at the county line which said in very bold letters, "Nigger, don't let the sun set on your head." It was serious. There were very few black people in the county. I went with my father, and when we got to the house, I looked at it, and it was a pitiful house. It was leaning at an angle. It looked like it was about to fall down. And there were 3 young black boys playing in the yard. And I went over and started playing with them. And I watched my father, who had just walked up to the parent, who was the horse trainer. And my father did not shake hands with him, but he greeted him very politely. You know, he had the horse. And I played with those 3 boys, which was very unusual in those days. It was not something that normally would be done in a rural area in Texas.
How old when this?
I was less than 3 years old, but I remember it very vividly. Now, why do we remember things like this? I don't know. When it was time to go, the father looked at my father and looked at me, and he said to my dad, "Mr. Pate, this here's a mighty fine boy. He's going to have lots of friends someday. I'd like to give him a little present." And he brought a watermelon that was nearly as big as I was. We were living in an area that's referred to as the watermelon capital of the world. And, well, that may or may not be true, but it was a watermelon that must have weighed 60, 65 pounds. And I looked at the giver of the gift, and I said, "Thank you, but a big cucumber." because my mother had a little garden, and of course there were cucumbers there, and I was a very small child, and that's always stuck in my mind from that time on. And I guess I always, anytime that a black person was involved, I automatically thought of that particular incident and how natural it was for me to play with those three boys and how accepting they were.
And the whole thing was a beautiful experience. I mean,
it was.
You had a good time playing with them.